what is going on with the army and who is in charge of this country right now. The protesters don't have anyone to put in power as president. The protesters themselves have also said they're not really happy he resigns and turns ever to Omar Suleiman. So the question is, would there be something like an organized coup or something? Obviously, there were rumors of that yesterday as there was a meeting of what you could consider the Joint Chiefs of Staff here in Egypt. However, that Joint Chiefs of Staff meeting didn't have Mubarak sitting at the table. We're now hearing this unbelievable roar from the crowd in Tahrir Square. We don't know what that's about, John. Clearly, this is as developing a situation as you get.
No idea, huh? I mean, clearly something's got that crowd.
This is unbelievable, John. We can hear. This is unbelievable. We can hear the screams coming out, the horns honking. I'm going to step out of the shot right now. It's unbelievable what's going on right now in the square.
An electric moment, obviously. An electric moment.
It's an electrifying moment right now. This is unlike anything we've seen before. We've got horns honking, people continuing to cheer. We don't know what's going on right now. We're still waiting to try to get any more information about it. It is clearly something has changed. We haven't heard a roar like this since this crisis began 18 days ago with these protesters taking the streets demanding President Mubarak leave.
Okay. We just want to interrupt you for 1 second because this is coming in from the foreign desk right behind us, John. Apparently the vice president, the person who was put in place, Suleiman, has just said Mubarak has resigned. That's coming from our group of journalists just sitting directly behind us here in the newsroom. So that could be, in fact, Leland, response to this. I'm looking at the Associated Press and the Reuters wires that I'm sitting next to here inside the Fox newsroom, and I don't see anything crossing as of yet. It continues to say an important statement from Egypt's presidency will broadcast within minutes on state television. But as I've just said from the journalists sitting behind us here in the newsroom, there is word that the Egyptian vice president, Omar Suleiman, the man that after 30 years they'd never had a vice president in Egypt, was put into place by Hosni Mubarak. And then in the last 24 hours, John, we saw much of the president's powers, according to him, handed over to Suleiman, now saying that Hosni Mubarak has stepped down.
Now, it raises all kinds of questions if it is true, and you have to say that given what happened yesterday. All day the speculation was that Hosni Mubarak would step down yesterday. There were press reports to that effect. And then he made that extraordinary speech late in the evening, Cairo time, in which he said, I'm going to stay here. I will give my powers to the vice president, as Harris was just describing. I will give my powers to the vice president, but I'm going to stay. This extraordinary announcement, and you can tell from the crowd reaction, it appears to be legitimate.
Yeah, and I'm turning around just to give a quick shout out to our group behind us. Leland, are you now able to confirm that for us?
We're now hearing from the Associated Press and from Vice President Suleiman himself that President Mubarak stepped down. This is an unbelievable watershed moment in Egyptian history of the Middle East. Many have compared it to the Berlin Wall coming down. After 30 years, the thought of Mubarak being pushed out by his own people is incredible. Of course, we're still waiting to hear officially that Mubarak's down this last night, but we had never heard anything officially from the government that he was stepping down. This comes now from the vice president who was installed just a couple of weeks ago, and you got to tell from the crowd that is going absolutely crazy. There is pandemonium, a constant screaming of horns here in Egypt. The crowd's going crazy outside the Ministry of Information. This is what they have given so much for. These protesters were attacked, endured incredible violence, slept out in the streets. All they said wanted was democracy and for President Mubarak to leave. It appears now they have finally gotten it. This is an amazing moment. Mubarak ruled with an iron fist for 30 years. If in fact he has left, this changes the ball game in the Middle East. The thought that powerful, an ally of the United States, an ally of Israel, could be pushed out by his own people in this kind of protest is absolutely incredible. Here in Cairo right now, all you hear is horns going crazy. The crowd roar is deafening even across the Nile River. And with a huge history-making moment here in Egypt, here in the Middle East. Remember, these protesters came to the streets after a young man was beat up by the secret police, something that happens a lot here in Egypt, or perhaps we should say happened a lot here in Egypt. They said they wanted reform. It all started a Facebook group that then came to bring these huge protests to the square. They came to Tahrir Square demanding change. They said they would not leave. President Mubarak, offered them concessions. That wasn't enough. They sent in thugs to beat them up. That wasn't enough. And now it appears that they have gotten there, that President Mubarak has finally stepped down and left office. People are going crazy here in Cairo. It is an unbelievable night.
Absolutely.
Friday, February 11, 2011 at 6 p.m. News.
Yep, you are marking the time, Leland Vittert, of incredible history for not just the country of Egypt, not just the region of the Middle East, but across the world, including the United States. And we want to stay with this picture and these sounds because they are so compelling and so important part of history for us to see. But we want to bring in another voice in all of this.